And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC basketball podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, I'm just going to be talking about some basketball news that's going on right now. One of the biggest questions and one of the, biggest concerns for Team USA, because that is the basketball news going on, is Kevin Durant and his status on the team. Now, KD has yet to play a single game for the United States, regardless whether it be exhibition game or not, and it seems like Team USA is sort of gambling on someone like Kevin Durant, because now it should be noted, Kevin Durant, amongst all the players on the United States, he has by far accomplished the most for Team USA. Like, hands down, most accomplishments. He has the most gold medals out of anyone on Team USA, mainly because he's been on Team USA for consecutive years. And he's played in a lot of Olympic games and as well as a lot of FIBA games. So he has done a lot for the United States and for his country. Now, it seems that, banking on someone who is injured is not really a good thing. Like that's really what it seems like coming in from the USA. Like, these games, these last few games that they've lost, they've come close, and a lot of people don't think they should even be this close. So the thought process is that, Team USA isn't at 100%. And once they add someone like Kevin Durant, that is just going to make their job so much easier, and they aren't going to, get close in so many games, right? Like, the games aren't going to be as close going up against these kinds of players, and with Kevin Durant on the team. That is sort of the thought process, and that's the thinking. Like, everyone assumes that once Kevin Durant gets back on the roster, they're going to dominate. But one of the things and one of the problems that I don't think people are really considering is the possibility that he doesn't return, or he doesn't make it in 100% when USA expects him to, right? Like, what if there's a possibility that he doesn't actually, play, and he doesn't feel 100% to play? Where does USA go then? And there was even some talks about the Kevin Durant status on the team is going to determine whether or not USA wins the goal. Like, they're being so dramatic with that. It's like Kevin Durant or bust. That's the thought process. And I'm here thinking, like, is it really that dramatic? Like, people really think that Kevin Durant is going to, adding the one player, again, he's a phenomenal player, that is going to completely determine, gold or bust? Like, no, I don't think so. Like, I understand people are concerned at the fact that the games were close, and the games are usually never close. But a lot of people don't really seem to understand that it's like, it doesn't matter how much you win by. You can win by a mile, you can win by an inch, you can win by 30 points, or you can win by 1 point. A win is a win. And the important thing about getting that win was that your best player, LeBron, was able to capitalize, and the rest of your players, while they weren't able to capitalize, one of them was able to do that. And so the rest of the players, they're going to follow suit anyway. Like, I don't feel like, again, adding Kevin Durant, he's going to definitely, help this roster, because adding Kevin Durant to any team is just going to make any team, a contending team, and it's really going to make any other team have more difficulties trying to come up with game plans to stop these players. Because, again, like, you have Steph Curry that you got to worry about. You have LeBron that you got to worry about. Then you also have Joel that, well, you should worry about Joel, but really you don't seem to have to worry about him that much. But you have Anthony Edwards that you're going to have to worry about, Anthony Davis as well. And then you add Kevin Durant. Like, that's really going to, you put Kevin Durant in that starting lineup, and that's really going to be dangerous. I feel like that is the big three instead of, Joel Embiid, as, Steve Kerr would say, LeBron, Steph, and Joel is the big three. No, the big three is LeBron, Steph, and Kevin Durant. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone says, and I understand, like, there might be some nostalgia put into that, but I really do feel like, Kevin Durant, he would really make a huge difference in this roster, because it's going to be really difficult to come up with defensive assignments, because who's going to guard LeBron? And if he's guarding LeBron, then who's going to guard Kevin Durant? Like, it's going to put a lot of coaches through a loop trying to figure out exactly what they need to do to try and stop him. So that's really like the basketball news that's going on. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you guys think it's also going to be Kevin Durant or bust, or do you guys think that some people are being a little bit more dramatic than they should be? I think it's just drama. I think some people are being a little too dramatic about Team USA and the fact that these games were close. Sure, they were close, but at the end of the day, they came out with a win. So does it really matter? But that's just me. That's my thought process on it. Because, again, a win is a win is a win is a win. It doesn't matter. You just win. As long as you win, that's all that matters. Now, since that's all that I have on this segment, I might as well go ahead and continue talking about, my list going into, G League or starting or bench. Well, the other way around. Starter, bench, G League. So the next pick is the number 7th pick in the draft, and that is Donovan Clingan for the Portland Trailblazers. Now, I said before that I didn't really understand why they would draft someone like Clingan, considering how Donovan Clingan isn't going to be a starter, and they already had a center, so I thought it was just weird. Like, okay, you have DeAndre Ayton, so why are you trying to get this center on your team? And really, I think because of that, he's going to be put on the bench, but his summer league performance was actually very, very impressive. And he's going to come off the bench because DeAndre's making $34 million and providing a lot more on the offensive side of the ball, so it makes total sense. And having a rim protector come off on the defensive side would really help the Portland Trailblazers. That was one of the many overlooked reasons why Portland was unable to win anything with Damian Lillard and make it far in the playoffs outside of 2019, because of their lack of defense. They really like to gamble a lot on their offense, and they really like their offense being their strongest factor. That, it doesn't really, since they don't have much defense, if one player on their team doesn't really play well, then that's it for them, which is the big reason why they couldn't win with Dame, because Dame has the reputation of being a fantastic playoff performer. That's not entirely true. There are several times and several seasons where Damian Lillard has fallen short in the postseason, and mainly it's because of just how bad he plays, and on top of the fact that, the defense on Portland wasn't all that special. So when Dame wasn't performing on offense, they didn't have anything to sort of fall back on, which is something that I keep saying about every single team that focuses on nothing but offense. There's a whole other side of the game that needs to be played. Next player on this list is Rob Dillingham. He was the 8th pick in the draft, and he's one of the fan favorites in the entire draft, because, a lot of people, they really like him as a player, and they really like him just, off of his skills with the basketball. He has a really good handle. Now, I have a feeling that I think he's going to be coming off the bench, because you already have Anthony Edwards at the guard, and you also have Mike Conley starting. So having someone like Rob come off the bench could be a really good spark, a really good scorer off the bench for when Anthony Edwards isn't there, in the starting lineup, in the rotation, or, when Mike Conley needs to take a breather. I feel and he would also be able to learn a lot from Mike Conley as well. Not so much on Ant, because Ant's only been in the league for, a couple of years, but Mike Conley, he's been a veteran of the league for some time, and he can definitely teach Rob Dillingham a couple of things. He could teach him a thing or two. So, next player on this list before I go into the final segment is Zach Edey for the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, even though a lot of people think that he's just going to be another Boban, I actually think he's going to start. I think he's going to be a starter for this team, and I don't know why the picture isn't changing. There we go. Yeah, I think Zach Edey is going to be a phenomenal starter. And, he's going to give you a double-double practically every single night. He's mainly known as the interior scorer as well as, the rim protector. Having someone this tall to stand under the basket when Ja Morant is going to attract so much attention, I think this works. I think this should work. This should work. The only problem is going to be his outside defense and his defense along the perimeter. I really feel like that's the biggest problem that Zach Edey is going to have to overcome. And he's only 22 years old, and despite, the style that he runs, being relatively tall and being slow and being a rim protector and an inside scorer, I think this will be enough. I think it's going to be difficult for him to rotate on defense, but that's the only downside to having him. So, actually, you know what? We can do one more before we go into the next segment. So, the 10th pick in the draft was Cody Williams from the Utah Jazz, and I have a feeling he's going to be coming off the bench for the Utah Jazz and mainly be an off-the-ball scorer. And since Lauri Markkanen, since he might get traded, there's also the possibility that he also might not get traded, so you have to keep that in mind. If he doesn't get traded, I have a feeling that he's not going to see the court all that much simply because they both share the same position. However, if he does get traded, then he might see Cody Williams might see a few more minutes than normally. But I think he's going to get sent to the bench. So far though, no one on this list that I have is going to be in the G League, I don't think. I have a feeling that all of the top picks, they're going to be starters or coming off the bench. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this list in the 5th segment, so it might be really, really long. So be sure to stay tuned as I go through the rest of the 20 picks in the draft. Yes, we got 20 more picks to go, so I'm going to go over all of them in the 5th segment. So stay tuned if you're interested in that. I'll be right back.